There are two sides to Reptiland. The side the general public sees, and then there's the side behind the scenes which gets the facility and animals ready for the public to see.
We usually come about 15 minutes before we open, and we have to get everything, all the registers counted down, get the snacks out, make sure everything is clean and tidy, and just make sure everything's good to go for the customers. Like, we help the zookeepers, we schedule souvenir photos, and we actually schedule encounters with our gentle giants up here, which are our giant Aldabra tortoises, the Allen Henry. So we have to communicate a lot with the zookeepers.
Then we all converge in our island. So this is the behind the scenes of all of the exhibitry of where we are.
Catherine Allen is one of the senior zookeepers at Reptiland.
So this is our schedule where every single day, we schedule out who's doing all of our shows. We have 5 shows a day, plus we have our animal encounters, croc talks, and parakeet shifts. So it's a lot of stuff to try to figure out who's going where. You can get a nice look at this schedule if you want. It just helps us kind of organize into everything that we need to do for the day. So we kind of all converge, figure out who's doing what, where we're going, who's doing what shows. We have to make it so that we're not conflicting with ourselves. So like, I have the venom show, so I can't do this parakeet shift because I need to pack all the venom for us, trying to keep us all set and organized. Morning, Michael. Morning. And then we have a beautiful checklist of all the things that need to get done every single day before we even go upstairs. So our first priority is getting everything on exhibit ready for the public. So that is that checklist. Michael here is cleaning the geckos. So we try to get this done before staff gets here, or before guests really start arriving, because doors are open and we don't want little kids' fingers in there.
What I'm going through is I use some RO water, so it's nice, clean, pure water, and I go over the inside of the glass here. I make sure everything gets nice and misted, so it's nice and humid for the geckos. And I also look for any defecate or anything else that needs to be cleaned up as I'm going through. I'll take out yesterday's food bowl for them, and also just make sure all the animals are good and healthy.
So what happens if you count and you find one missing? Do you
Count and we find one
Is
missing.
there an alert that goes out? Alarm
Generally,
system?
the first thing I do is I let Catherine know, and someone comes over and makes sure that I didn't mess up basic math. And because some of the animals are also very good at hiding, I might have just missed one. If not, we do have several protocols in place to search for missing animals. And it can depend a lot on whether the animal is a gecko or a cobra.
Yeah.
So yeah, the protocols are very different depending.
Before we open to the guests, we always spray down with a hose because birds are very messy and they poop a lot. So we always want to kind of clean off the rocks, clean off the trees in here, making sure it looks a little bit more presentable, making sure it's clean for the birds, even though they're just going to go poop on top of it right after I'm done. We also want to fix up the branches, add more enrichment in here so the birds have more spots to sit on, to perch on. We'll add corn, add food for them every day to make something different, exciting for them to kind of hang out with. Making sure they have fresh water, fresh food, getting it all ready for the guests to come in here and hopefully feed them and kind of interact with them.
So every day we skim our aquatics, so all of our animals that are in aquatic tanks. We stir up the gravel and debris and matter floats around. So each tank has their own net. We just scoop around, try to clean up their water every day. And then each tank has a certain day of the week that it's cleaned. So the water gets drained about 50% most of the time. The tank walls, the bottom, everything gets scrubbed. We have long brushes and different tools that we use to try to clean off the algae and matter that gets stuck on the tanks. Any items like the snake necks have a floating log, that also gets scrubbed. And then we have filters. Each tank has a filter to filter the water. That gets changed and rinsed, refilled.
Are there other animals like the saltwater crocodile where it's only the zookeepers handle?
The large constrictors, so the anacondas, reticulated pythons, our komodos, any of the large crocodilians, and then venomous. And for some of those, it's only trained, certified staff is able to work with them. We always have myself or the senior keepers, one of us is here, and then we have to make sure we have enough certified people as well. So people that are trained to do venom, trained to do komodos, trained to do, like today we'll be feeding the anacondas. So if I wasn't here, we couldn't feed them because we don't have enough certified staff and we're not throwing the newbies in since it's the anaconda. So.
A lot of care and planning goes into what and when they feed the animals in order to make sure they get a proper and balanced diet.
The mata turtle eats a hawk mouse. The chip,
You say the turtle eats mice?
the snake-necked turtles. So every day we make the feed list. It's kind of the same for downstairs and upstairs. We have daily eaters that eat on a certain day of the week. So we have to write all of those down. And then we have some animals that are on a rotating schedule. They may eat every 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, what have you. So we have to go around and check the cards. Catherine may have already told you about our card system. White is non-venom, red is venom. And then on here we note things like what they ate on what day, if they defecated, all these different things that we can go back if an animal starts acting weird or refusing food consistently or a certain type of food. It kind of gives us a history to know, how to care for that animal. But when I go around to make the feed list, I'm looking at this card. If they're not a daily eater and they eat every so many days, like this snake eats every 10 days, so I need to check the card. It just ate on the 27th, so, it's not time for it to eat. But if it does need to eat, we just mark it on a list, and then we can check the card. We try to diversify their food choices. So if I see they haven't had a mouse or a silverside, which is what I'm prepping now, that's what we'll put down for them, kind of rotate through different food choices. And then we have to come upstairs if we're feeding down the island because we store all of the food up here. Our freezer filled with different fish, and then some things up here get frozen fruit and vegetables and those types of things.
They know what day feed day is, and they are a lot feistier. So as such, I just put it in so that the mouse is on the inside of the grate and my hand is on the other side of it. I also don't feed them with my fingers actually through these tongs either, because if they grab it and pull, I can't let it go. It can catch my fingers and stuff like that. Especially if I'm feeding like one of the ones by the water, I don't want to get hauled in.
Oh, bigs.
Are you going to take that? Thank you.
Whoa.
So he just got his rat. He's going to be a little upset until I put his shield back on. Hold on, let me mark your card, buddy. So we have feed logs. I know. I'll put your card back. Excuse you. Oh. He's in food mode. So he just got his rat, so we shield him back up. He's our boot test snake. So we actually use him to test products that people say are snake proof. So that's him. We let him go at it, and he has big fangs. One of the largest venomous snakes in North America. Yeah, he's cool. What was your question? Oh, do we worry about getting bit?
Yeah.
I don't know if I worry about it. I fully respect that these animals are deadly. They have the potential to harm us, but I don't ever walk in being afraid of them, because that's when you make a mistake. If you have fear, you're going to panic. We have a lot of safety protocols. We run safety drills, kind of having that experience too. Of course, if there's a day where something is just acting weird, like if the king is just outrageously aggressive, like something's wrong, that's when you close the door and you're like, hold on, let's figure out something else. Like maybe it's because her hot spot's too hot for her to act that strange. Or we give Clyde a call, or we get other keepers as well. So we always work as a team for anything. I don't really worry, I guess, quote unquote, about getting bit by these guys.
And a lot of the guys that we do work with, is when you hesitate, when you stop,
Yeah.
or when you start something and then stop, that's when something generally goes wrong
Yeah.
as well.
Or for working with venom, a lot of it is being overconfident, taking a risk that you shouldn't because you've been doing it for so long. That some people get bit that way. So just always having it in the back of your mind that this is a king cobra with a lot of venom. This is a rattlesnake, something like that.
Reptiland is not only focused on taking care of their animals, but also educating the visitors about them, which includes a variety of shows and animal encounters.
So right now I'm packing animals for our shows. Well, 4 of the 5 shows, as Catherine mentioned. We have a venom show at 1:30. I'm not certified or trained to work with them, so I'm packing for the other shows, lizards and snakes, and ancient adaptations, that's right. The one I do naturally. So a lot of the animals up here are used for our shows, or they're for breeding with SSPs, like for conservation. So right now I'm pulling Ka, one of our boa constrictors, and you do have to have some experience with them in order to work with them. So right now I'm tapping him on the head. That way I'm showing that he's not getting fed. He'll get fed later today, but not right now, so he won't strike me. And the hook is for my own protection, and that way they're used to it as well, so one less thing to worry about. And so we have a list of every day of which animals we take, so we try not to take the same animals every day.
This guy, besides the bony plates on his neck and his back and his tail that keep him protected, he also has an adaptation of camouflage.
Oh, Avery, are you going to do it?
Listen, we're following this here on camera.
Have you ever touched an allergy? Several different species of poison dart frogs. And they come in all different colors. They're a really cool group of frogs. You can find them in the rainforest.
He will hang out on cliff sides near caves, because these guys are good enough to climb pretty much straight up a cliffside. They'll anchor themselves with this prehensile tail, and they will track the bats flying in and out of the cave, and then they'll be able to Then they will be able to thrust themselves out, and they're accurate enough to grab bats out of thin air.
Not all the animals can be handled by every keeper. Many, including a number of snakes, require specialized training.
So I started my venom about 9 months after being hired. So it's an on-site certification, so that they have to work with myself and the senior keepers to get in at least 15 hours of working with our venom collection, and then they have to pass a written test with a 90% or better. So that's just basic biology. They have to know our venom bite protocols, anything safety and security. They have to know it like better than anything, muscle memory kind of style. They have to pass out with a 90%, and then they have to pass a practical where they tube snakes in front of myself, Elliot, senior keeper. Sometimes Clyde will even come down. And tubing is where you take a venomous tube or venomous snake and put it in a tube. So we use plastic clear tubes, and it's for medical. That's the big thing is how else can our vet get hands on anything? So we just run them in a tube, get a good look at them. So, and it's a really good way to demonstrate your ability to work with a snake because they're on the ground. You have to put a snake somewhere. It doesn't want to go in a tube. You have to work with it.
This is Mr. Western. Mr. Western is a western diamondback rattlesnake. He will not go off stage. He might look at you. He might come off the table a little bit, but he's not going to go anywhere. He is in his 20s. Since he is in his 20s, since he has been on stage, since he goes to school and sees people all the time, we're not scary. You are not scary. I am not scary. Because of that, he's not rattling. If he was scared, when he was like way much younger, a lot younger, he would sound like that. Really, really loud. He does have a rattle. So he has a rattle. It's right there. I can kind of rattle it for him.
Without guests like Rebecca Warfel and her nephew Lucas Bryant coming through the door, Reptiland wouldn't be able to do what it does.
When did you first hear about Reptiland?
Pretty much a week after I came in, and I wanted to come visit because I have 2 tortoises of my own. So I wanted to go to the reptile zoo, and I know I'm excited to see the rest of it. We paid extra to do the hand feeding.
With the groups?
With the group, we have carrots. I like to do carrots. Some people bring down just lettuce, but I really like doing carrots because you can hear them like crunch off.
It's amazing. I have been wanting to do something similar to this for a while. I watch a lot of nature documentaries and stuff like that related to them, so it was cool. It was really cool.
Yes.
There you go.
Tortoises Al and Henry are not the only large animals at the zoo. The two Komodo dragons, Thurber and Saphira, take some special precautions while handling as well.
Month. And then if they're starting to act really hungry, they will supplement. So we'll give a couple rats here and there. If we're training with them, we use small food like mice, chicks, hard-boiled eggs, things like that. So these are the Kevlar shin guards. We wear these when working with the Komodos. Usually when we work with Thurber, we don't always wear them, like when we were doing the x-rays, because he's a bit more docile than our other female. But these are bite-proof. So they're made out of Kevlar. They were handmade. I think they were custom designed by Claude, I'm not sure. This is how we used to direct him kind of around. We don't want to hurt him, but they're really tough animals, and this just helps redirect him. If he were to come at us, we can just move him off to the side. This is what they use on the islands, so they give people to use them.
Since 1964, families have been bringing their kids to Reptiland, which has adapted with the times, including more hands-on exhibits.
Yes, because it's very educational, so it's some fun place to go that they can learn new and different things every time they come, and meet new people.
So every year they come back and they're like, oh, I kind of remember that this is here. Like Abby remembered that the white alligator where it was, but they didn't necessarily remember what it looked like. So every year is a little bit different. And so it's kind of fun to come and do something different.
Right now we're just getting them set up for the night, so we remove their feeder. We give them bucket of fresh water. Just check their enclosure, make sure there aren't any personal belongings thrown in or different things. But just kind of giving them a tuck-in for the night. Got it? Good boy.
After all the crowds have gone home for the day, animals are carefully tucked away for the night and given any care they require before the staff heads home.